Chosen one. Heaven has stilled the noise around you. Tonight, even the air feels different because something holy is about to happen. This is not just another night, it is the turning point of your story. You sense it deep inside, a quiet trembling, a pulse in your spirit that whispers, "Pay attention." The heavens are leaning close, waiting for your yes. You have walked through seasons that others would not understand. There were nights when your prayers were only tears. Days when silence from heaven felt like rejection. But the silence was never absence. It was divine preparation. You were being hidden, not forgotten. Just as seeds are buried before they bloom, God planted you beneath the surface of the ordinary so that, tonight, you could rise extraordinary. Listen carefully. The greatest thing God will do in you will not start in a crowd. It will start in the quiet of your surrendered heart. Before He parts the sea, He stills the wind. Before He sends the fire, He clears the altar. And tonight, heaven clears the stage of your life for one divine act, His glory revealed through you. Picture this, the world outside rushing endlessly. Yet above it, a divine hand presses pause. Time itself holds its breath. Angels look down and say, "It's time." The King is about to move in your life. Every delay, every closed door, every unanswered prayer, all of it was aligning this moment. You were never waiting for nothing. You were waiting for purpose to mature. Let me tell you a story. There was once a woman named Mara, a chosen one, much like you. For years, she lived in waiting, praying, serving, yet feeling unseen. One night, after crying out to God for the 1,000th time, she whispered, "If you still see me, show me tonight." That very night, a call came that changed her entire life. A door she had stopped knocking on swung wide open. It was as if heaven had been waiting for that one word, "Ready." Mara realized the delay was never punishment. It was choreography, divine timing in motion. So tonight, your story mirrors hers. Heaven has been rehearsing your breakthrough behind the curtain. While you thought you were forgotten, the author was writing the most powerful chapter. God was shaping your endurance, your faith, your discernment. Because what He is about to give you requires a strength only forged in fire. You might be asking, why tonight? Because divine seasons shift in unseen moments. Destiny often announces itself, not with trumpets, but with stillness. God chooses nights like these when your heart is tired, but your faith refuses to die to reveal His power. That quiet faith is the signal heaven has been waiting for. You have carried pain like a secret weight, yet every tear was a seed of tomorrow's testimony. Every betrayal refined your love. Every setback strengthened your voice. You were being trained to carry glory without breaking under it. You are not just surviving the story, you are the story that will inspire others to stand when everything tells them to fall. Feel the air change. Now that's not imagination. That is presence. The same spirit that hovered over the waters in Genesis is hovering over your room right now. The stillness is holy. Don't rush this moment. God is closer than your next breath. Heaven whispers, "Do not fear the waiting. I have not forgotten what I promised." No. It is written in the book of Job, chapter 33, verse 14. For God does speak, now one way, now another, though no one perceives it. That promise still breathes. It wasn't just written for ancient believers, It was written for you for this very night. So, take a deep breath. Release the doubt that's been clinging to your heart. You are stepping into a sacred exchange, weakness for strength, despair for joy, fear for peace. God will do the greatest thing ever with you tonight, not because you are perfect, but because you are willing. If this message touches something inside you, don't ignore it. Let the heavens see your agreement. Click the like button. Share this word so others may awaken. And comment 444 below as your act of faith. And if this voice speaks to your spirit, subscribe and stay connected, because what begins tonight is only the beginning of what He will unfold through you. Your story is sacred. Chosen one. Heaven has been writing it from the very start, and tonight, the next chapter begins. You were never ordinary. That sense of misplacement you carried all your life, the feeling that you didn't belong where others seemed comfortable, was the first sign of heaven's fingerprint on you. While others blended in, you stood out. Not because you wanted attention, but because your spirit spoke a different language. The world called it strangeness. God called it separation. There were moments when you tried to shrink your light just to fit in. You quieted your voice to avoid being misunderstood. You agreed to walk paths that didn't match your spirit. But even then, heaven whispered. You were never designed to blend in. Every time you tried to fit the mold, it cracked beneath you. Because your spirit was crafted for something larger, something eternal. You see, God has always had a habit of calling the uncommon. He chose David, the shepherd boy no one noticed. He called Esther, an orphan hidden behind palace walls. He selected Moses, a man with a stutter, to confront an empire. He has never looked for the polished. He has always chosen the prepared in secret. That's you, the one prepared in the shadows, while others were seen in the spotlight. It is no accident that your life feels like contradiction. You have carried both favor and warfare in the same breath. That's because the greater your calling, the greater the tension between who you are and where you are. God placed a prophetic weight on your soul, one that refused to let you settle for mediocrity. Remember the nights when you looked at yourself and thought, why me? Why the constant stretching, the inner battles, the unexplainable pull toward purpose? It's because heaven wrote your name in the storyline of transformation. You were never meant to be comfortable in smallness. There's something remarkable about the chosen. They don't seek stages, but God gives them one when the time is right. You were being trained through rejection, refined through delay, and strengthened through disappointment. Every no from people was God's protection, ensuring you didn't attach to what couldn't carry your destiny. Let me share something with you. There was a young man named Eli, another chosen one. He had a dream that wouldn't leave him, a vision of leading worship that reached millions. But for years, he sang to empty rooms. Every performance opportunity seemed to fall apart. One night, in frustration, he asked God, "Why give me a gift you won't let me use?" And in that stillness, he heard a whisper, "I am teaching you to sing for my presence, not for their applause." That night changed everything. Eli's gift became his altar, not his ambition. When the season shifted, God opened doors that human effort could never unlock. Maybe your story is like Eli's. Maybe you've mistaken delay for denial. But you must understand this: divine timing is protection in disguise. You are being prepared for something that requires spiritual maturity, not just opportunity. It is not arrogance that sets you apart, it's assignment. There is a sound you carry, a word. Only your life can speak. You might not see it yet, but even your peculiarities are prophetic. The very traits that made you feel out of place are the markers of divine calling. The Word of God declares in the book of Proverbs, chapter 19, verse 21, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but the Lord's purpose alone will prevail." That single truth explains the tension of your existence. You've had plans, some grand, some humble, but God has been quietly steering them toward His purpose. Every detour was a divine redirection. Every disappointment was a lesson wrapped in mercy. You were not created to be ordinary, because ordinary cannot carry extraordinary light. That light in you terrifies darkness. It stirs opposition, but it also attracts heaven's attention. You walk with unseen authority, not earned by perfection, but given by grace. So, if your path has been harder than others, it's because your mantle is heavier. God entrusts greater weight to those who will not break beneath it. You are the carrier of something eternal, something the world needs but doesn't yet understand. And tonight, as heaven prepares to move again, remember this: being chosen doesn't mean being flawless. It means being available. God has never required perfection, only surrender. You are not here by mistake. You are not misunderstood by accident. You were handpicked for divine purpose, wrapped in human form, and positioned in this generation for something the world has yet to witness. And soon, the very things that once made you feel misplaced will become the proof of your divine identity. Signs that heaven trusted you with uncommon purpose and eternal fire. You have survived the hidden years, the refining fire, and the stretching silence. These were not wasted seasons, they were sacred classrooms. The places where you thought God was absent were the very altars where He was shaping your foundation. You were not forgotten, you were being forged. There's a reason the chosen walk through longer winters. You see, winter is not the death of a seed, it's the protection of it. Beneath the frozen ground, roots grow deeper, anchoring against future storms. God did the same with you. He covered you so that when the season shifted, you wouldn't just bloom, you'd endure. The pain you carried in silence was not punishment. It was the sound of transformation. Every unanswered prayer, every delay, every closed door was heaven's way of purifying your motives. You wanted the blessing, God wanted your heart. In the early days, you may have cried, "Why won't He let me move forward?" Yet, looking back now, you can sense the wisdom. Had God opened every door when you asked, you might have walked into rooms not built to sustain your calling. Delay, chosen one, was never denial, it was protection dressed in patience. There was once a young woman named Sarah. She dreamed of serving God through healing ministry. Yet, her life was filled with sickness, hospitals, and prayers that seemed unanswered. For years, she begged God to heal her. Then one day, while sitting beside another patient in the ward, she began to pray for them instead. That night, for the first time, she felt a peace that no cure could bring. In that very moment, she realized her greatest ministry was not in the miracle itself, but in the compassion birthed through her suffering. Years later, God healed her completely, but by then, she had already learned the greater miracle. purpose through pain. Like Sarah, you too have been molded through contradiction. God has a way of turning wounds into weapons. He takes the ache you thought would destroy you and transforms it into empathy that rescues others. Sometimes the greatest refining happens in the places no one applauds. While others were seen, you were sifted. You learned how to hear God's whisper in the silence, how to walk by faith when logic offered no answers, how to trust when trust itself felt like risk. Those lessons became the oil of your anointing, costly, but éternel. And now, something is stirring. You feel it, don't you? The shift inside your spirit, that quiet, knowing that the long wait wasn't meaningless. Heaven never wastes a wound. God has been preparing to unveil what He has been cultivating within you. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Romans, chapter 5, verse 3-4. We glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. Those words are not poetic comfort, they are spiritual truth. The greater your tribulation, the purer your character. Hope forged in fire cannot be stolen. And tonight, as you remember your seasons of refinement, know this: they were the very reason you can now carry glory without collapsing under it. You may have thought the refining was punishment, but it was preparation for permanence. Gold only shines after it has faced the flame. Diamonds only form under pressure. You, too, have been pressed, crushed, and refined until only what is eternal remains. Every no purified your purpose. Every loss deepened your love. Every delay trained your discernment. You have become unshakable because your foundation is no longer built on what changes, it's built on who never changes. Now breathe deeply. This is what maturity feels like. The wilderness didn't break you, it built you. You have come out of the fire carrying something the world cannot manufacture: divine resilience. So tonight, pause for a moment. Remember where you were when the pain began, and look at who you've become through it. That transformation itself is proof of His hand upon your life. If this truth ignites your spirit, write it in faith below. Comment, "Fire still burns." Because the flame that once tested you now fuels you. It declares to heaven and earth that your refining didn't extinguish your purpose, it made you unstoppable. And when you write those words, "Fire still burns," know this: you are not simply typing a phrase. You are making a declaration in the spirit realm. You are reminding the darkness that what once tried to silence you has now become your song. You are proclaiming that your faith still breathes, your light still glows, and your destiny still stands untouched. Because the refining wasn't the end, it was the awakening. The same fire that once burned you now lights your path forward. You are not emerging from ashes as a victim, but as proof that even when flames rise high, purpose rises higher. When heaven marks a soul, the world often misunderstands it. The mark is invisible to the eyes of men, but unmistakable to the realm of spirit. You carry that mark, the quiet evidence that you belong to a different order, a higher assignment. From the moment God breathed His intention into you, the trajectory of your life shifted. Nothing about you was ever random. Somewhere, in eternity past, before the foundations of the earth were laid, your name was whispered in divine conversation. God said, "This one will carry light into dark places." And from that moment, heaven began weaving the tapestry of your story. Every thread, even the painful ones, was chosen for purpose. When heaven marks you, you become set apart in ways that are not always comfortable. The mark brings both calling and contradiction. It draws favor, but it also draws fire. You begin to notice that the things that satisfy others no longer satisfy you. Shallow conversations drain you. Empty pursuits lose their pull. You crave something deeper, something eternal. That restlessness is not a flaw, it's the echo of your true home. Think about the prophets of old. They were not always welcomed or understood. Jeremiah wept because of his calling. Elijah ran into the wilderness after his greatest victory. Even Mary, the mother of Jesus, bore the tension of a divine pregnancy that no one could explain. The chosen often walk alone, not because they are unloved, but because heaven trains them in solitude. You have felt that solitude, haven't you? Those moments when you wondered why people drifted away, why conversations ended, why certain connections couldn't hold. Yet every separation was sacred. God was pruning distractions, cutting away what could not grow with you. The mark upon you demanded a cleaner circle. Akieterpath, a heart free from noise. Heaven's mark is not a crown of comfort, it is a seal of purpose. It calls you to obedience, even when obedience costs you. It calls you to forgiveness when your flesh wants revenge. It calls you to rise when your emotions want to quit. And through it all, heaven whispers, "You are mine." Once, there was a man named Joel. He spent years trying to escape his sense of calling. He pursued business, success, and recognition. Yet nothing satisfied him. Every accomplishment felt hollow. One night, during a storm, his car broke down on a deserted road. Sitting there in the dark, he cried out, "God, what do you want from me?" And in that quiet moment, he felt a presence so heavy that he couldn't speak. A simple thought filled his mind. "Stop running. I marked you for more." Joel wept. That night became the turning point of his life. The mark doesn't just choose you, it pursues you. It follows you into your failures, your doubts, your detours. It doesn't fade when you fall, it waits for your return. Because heaven's seal is not like man's approval, it cannot be revoked. The Spirit spoke through the prophet in the book of Hosea, chapter 2, verse 23. "I will plant her for myself in the land. I will show my love to the one I called, not my loved one. I will say to those called, not my people, you are my people, and they will say, you are my God." And that verse is not just ancient poetry, it's divine identity. God marked you long before you believed you were worthy of love. He called you mine when others called you nothing. You may not have realized it, but heaven has been chasing you all along, reclaiming, restoring, renaming. When you carry heaven's mark, you begin to see differently. Ordinary moments become holy. Every sunrise feels like a reminder that grace renewed you again. Every challenge becomes a training ground for destiny. And even pain begins to make sense, because you realize it all works under a higher design. You are marked not to boast, but to build, not to impress, but to impact. Your life becomes a message that others will read, a living letter of redemption written by the hand of God Himself. And as this night unfolds, heaven's whisper grows stronger. You are chosen, you are sealed, and you are seen. Nothing can erase what God has stamped upon your soul. When heaven marks you, resistance becomes confirmation. The very opposition you face is proof that you've been identified in the spirit as dangerous to darkness and necessary to destiny. So, do not despise the mark. Wear it with quiet courage. Every scar, every silence, every surrender has become your signature, the unmistakable evidence that heaven's hand is still writing your story. The voice that calls you out is never loud, yet it is unshakably clear. It doesn't shout from the clouds, it whispers in the quiet corners of your heart. You've heard it before, that subtle nudge that says, "There's more." And tonight, that voice speaks again, not to condemn, but to awaken. When God calls you, it rarely looks glamorous. Sometimes it comes as an interruption, a divine detour that flips your plans upside down. Other times it comes as a gentle ache that won't leave, a knowing that no matter how far you run, something sacred is calling your name. You see, when God calls a person out, He isn't pulling them away from joy, He's pulling them into purpose. The call often feels inconvenient because destiny never asks for permission. It simply begins. Think of Moses standing before the burning bush, the flame that didn't consume, the fire that transformed a shepherd into a deliverer. God didn't speak in thunder, He spoke from the flame. The bush burned, yet it was not destroyed, a perfect picture of divine calling. When heaven calls, your spirit ignites, but your essence remains intact. You have felt that same fire. Perhaps it came in a season of loss, or maybe through a dream that kept returning night after night. That's how God speaks, through persistence. He repeats Himself until your soul finally says, yes. Every calling begins with surrender. But surrender is not a single act, it's a daily response. Each time you choose faith over fear, obedience over comfort, love over bitterness, you are answering the call. Once, there was a teacher named Naomi. She loved her work, but felt a quiet restlessness she couldn't explain. One day, after class, she felt an urge to stay behind. As she prayed softly, she sensed a whisper, "Teach not just minds, teach hearts." That moment changed her life. She began mentoring students after school, listening to their struggles, guiding them toward faith. Years later, many of those students became leaders, preachers, and healers. Naomi never sought a stage, yet her obedience created ripples that reached generations. God's call often works like that, small acts of obedience that multiply like light, breaking through stained glass. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to answer. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verse 5. "Do not come any closer," God said. "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." Right now, wherever you are listening, that same truth applies. This moment is holy ground. The floor beneath your feet may be ordinary, but His presence makes it sacred. Heaven draws near when hearts open wide. And if this message is reaching deep into your spirit, pause and reflect. Maybe this is your burning bush. Maybe this is God reminding you that your season of silence was never the end, only the beginning of the call. If this word stirs something in you, gently tap like, as if lighting a candle on an altar. Every touch of light keeps this flame visible for someone still walking in shadow. Share this message not because it's content, but because it's bread for the hungry. Somewhere, Another soul waits for the same whisper you just heard. Subscribe if you feel drawn to stay in this flow, not as a follower, but as a companion on the same road. Each message you receive is another footstep along the path of purpose. And when your heart feels moved to give, donate as you would release a lantern into the night sky freely, softly, knowing its glow will travel farther than you can see. No one forces a lantern upward. It rises because the flame within it is alive. Every act of giving is like that, a warm light lifting hope higher for someone else. But remember, even your prayer is an offering. Even your listening heart is fuel to this fire. Heaven counts sincerity, not currency. So, if this message touches you, let your action, whatever form it takes, become worship. A small gesture of gratitude, a ripple of faith, a shared spark in the dark. Because when the chosen ones move together, even whispers become thunder. The voice that called you out is still calling, not to take from you, but to draw out the divine within you. When you choose to give, you echo, heaven's rhythm quiet, generous, unstoppable. Every act of kindness becomes another heartbeat in God's symphony of grace moving through the earth. And as this night unfolds, remember, you are not funding a message. You are fueling miracles. Your open hand becomes a bridge where divine words find hearts that still need hope. The weight of glory you carry was never meant to crush you. It was meant to crown you. You've felt it before. That heaviness in your spirit that others can't quite understand. It's not sadness, it's the presence of purpose. When heaven draws near, the atmosphere around you changes. The heart begins to tremble, not from fear, but from recognition, the awareness that God is preparing to release something divine through you. There are moments when that presence feels almost too much to bear. You sense it like a storm before rain, the air thick with expectation. Your soul begins to stir. Your thoughts quiet. Your breath deepens. That's not anxiety, that's awakening. Heaven is rearranging things inside you to make room for glory. You've walked through nights when you couldn't explain why tears came without reason. You thought it was weakness, but it was the Spirit groaning within you, interceding, preparing, cleansing. For glory can only rest where surrender is complete. The presence of God is not always gentle mist. Sometimes it comes like a mighty river. It floods every dry place, washing away the dust of doubt. It pulls up the roots of fear and plants seeds of boldness. When that glory fills you, you feel both small and infinite, all at once, humbled by love, expanded by purpose. Let me tell you about Aaron, a musician who once led worship in small gatherings. He loved God, but often battled insecurity. One night, while playing alone, he suddenly felt a weight so heavy that he stopped mid-song. His knees hit the floor as tears streamed down his face. In that moment, he heard a quiet whisper, "This is not music, this is ministry." That single sentence transformed his life. The next time he played, people wept, healed, and found peace. What changed? The same chords, the same voice, but now the weight of glory rested upon them. That's what's happening to you. God is clothing you with unseen power. The same words you once spoke will now carry divine impact. The same presence you once felt will now flow through you. You are being transformed from vessel to voice, from dreamer to deliverer. The ancient words recorded in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 14. For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. And that prophecy is not distant. It begins with you. You are one ripple in that great flood of glory covering the earth. Every act of faith, every word of love, every prayer whispered in private, it all contributes to the rising tide of divine presence on this planet. Sometimes, though, glory feels like a burden. You feel the pull to retreat, to hide, to rest from the weight. But remember, even Jesus carried his cross before his crown. The heaviness you feel isn't punishment, it's power waiting for direction. Glory doesn't just elevate, it transforms everything it touches. When glory descends, your perspective shifts. You stop striving and start flowing. You realize that what once felt impossible is now effortless. Doors open not by strength, but by presence. Opportunities find you because light recognizes light. And yet, you remain grounded not by pride, but by awe. Glory has a humbling beauty. It reminds you that all power flows from him, not from your performance. You are the instrument, he is the breath. If you could see yourself the way heaven sees you tonight, radiant, chosen, burning with purpose, you would stop doubting your worth. The glory you carry is not temporary, it's eternal evidence that you belong to something far greater than fear. So when you feel that divine heaviness again, don't resist it. Rest under it. Let it stretch your spirit and widen your vision. The weight you feel is not meant to break you, it's shaping you into the image of glory itself. Glory does not come to visit, it comes to dwell. It stays where it is honored, where humility builds a home for it. And tonight, God is building that home inside you. If these words echo inside your spirit, don't let the moment pass silently. Comment 999 below, not as a number, but as a sign. It means completion, fulfillment, the finishing of one chapter and the birth of another. It is your agreement with heaven's timing, your way of saying, I'm ready for the glory to rest on me. And two, let that declaration seal this moment. The air around you carries promise, the same way dawn carries light. And soon, the weight of his glory will not just rest on you, it will move through you, changing everything you touch. The last temptation always comes before the breakthrough. It is the final whisper of the old season, begging you to stay. You've likely felt it, that subtle pull to retreat, to settle, to silence your faith just before everything shifts. It's the enemy's last attempt to make you forfeit what heaven is about to deliver. Temptation doesn't always come wrapped in darkness. Sometimes it comes disguised as comfort. It offers shortcuts, distractions, and voices that say, you've done enough, stop pressing. But chosen ones are not called to settle for comfort. They are called to carry conviction. And every conviction must be tested before it can be trusted. You've been through those tests. The quiet doubts that creep in during long waits. The weariness that whispers, maybe I misheard God. The fear that tells you your best days are behind you. Yet somehow, you kept standing. That is the proof of divine endurance. Not that you never fell, but that you refused to stay down. There's a sacred truth. Temptation often reveals how close you are to transformation. When the storm intensifies, it means the shore is near. The pressure you feel is not proof of abandonment. It's evidence that the promise is almost within reach. Imagine a runner who can see the finish line but feels their body ache more than ever. That's not the time to stop, that's the time to lean in. The pain is not a signal of failure, it's the stretching of destiny. Once there was a man named Caleb. He had spent years working toward one vision, building a community center for children in his city. Just weeks before the grand opening, unexpected setbacks came. Funding disappeared. Partnerships broke. People questioned his faith. Caleb almost quit. One night, while walking home, he saw a single light burning in the dark windows of the unfinished building. He paused and whispered, "If there's still one light, there's still purpose." That night, he decided to keep going. 2 months later, the doors opened, and hundreds of children found hope within those walls. Caleb later said, "The last attack was proof that I was standing on the edge of breakthrough." End quote. You, too, might be standing in that same tension, one hand on the promise, the other still wrestling with doubt. But the truth is this: the weight of opposition is often a sign of approaching glory. The darker the night, the nearer the dawn. Scripture says in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." That verse holds more than comfort. It holds a promise. Perseverance is not passive waiting, it is active trust. Every time you choose to stand in faith when fear shouts louder, you are earning your spiritual crown. The enemy attacks hardest right before God delivers. Why? Because he cannot stop the miracle, but he can tempt you to walk away from it. That is why the battlefield is often your own mind. Doubt, distraction, discouragement. These are the weapons forged to make you give up before the blessing arrives. But not this time. You have been trained by the trials of your past. You know the sound of false peace and the scent of holy endurance. You can now discern what is temporary from what is eternal. The last temptation is losing its grip because your spirit has matured. When temptation comes again, and it will, you will meet it differently. Instead of fear, you will feel clarity. Instead of retreat, resolve. You'll understand that every not yet is actually soon. You'll realize that temptation's greatest trick is urgency, convincing you that waiting means losing. But waiting is not losing when heaven is preparing. Your story has not been delayed. It's being perfectly timed. Every test you've faced was shaping your spiritual reflex to look up when others look around, to worship when others worry. That instinct is your greatest weapon. So tonight, if the air feels thick and your heart feels heavy, remember, this is not the end, it's the threshold. The heat of temptation will cool, the noise will fade, and when it does, what remains will be pure faith. Steady as gold, refined by fire. You are stronger than the voice that tempts you. You are closer than you think. The enemy doesn't waste his fiercest lies on those far from destiny. He saves them for those who stand on the brink of victory. Hold your ground. Chosen one. The storm cannot stop what was spoken over you. The test will soon become testimony, and what once tried to break you will become the very platform God uses to reveal His glory through you. Your name has always been written in heaven's scroll. Long before you took your first breath, before anyone spoke your name aloud, God already knew it. He didn't just record your existence, He authored your purpose. There is a divine script that carries your story, and every line was inked with intention. It's easy to forget that truth when life feels unpredictable. You look at the twists and turns, the detours and delays, and wonder if somehow you've wandered off the path. But destiny doesn't get lost. It gets rewritten through surrender. God's hand never slips. Even when you make choices that take you off course, He writes new roads that lead you back to promise. There's a sacred mystery in how He works. Heaven doesn't erase your story. It redeems it. What others call mistakes, Heaven calls material. Every broken chapter becomes a verse in the poem of redemption. Every scar becomes punctuation in the story of grace. You are not the author of failure. You are the evidence of mercy. You might not see it yet, but you are walking through pages already prepared for you. There are conversations, moments, encounters, and blessings waiting in alignment, written in invisible ink, revealed only when faith touches them. That's why some doors open suddenly and others stay locked, because Heaven knows which chapter you're ready to read. The Spirit once revealed to a prophet that every soul has a heavenly ledger, a divine record of what it was created to accomplish. That record doesn't change. When you fall short, it waits until you rise again. You can delay destiny, but you can never delete it. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Elias. For most of his life, he ran from faith, chasing money, recognition, and control. One night, while visiting his mother's grave, he felt something shift. The air grew still, and a single leaf fell onto the ground beside him. When he picked it up, he saw the veins on the leaf form a faint pattern, a shape that resembled his initials. It startled him. At that moment, he sensed a voice whisper, "I still know your name." Tears filled his eyes as he realized that after all his running, Heaven had never stopped calling. Elias returned home, began to rebuild his life, and eventually started a foundation helping people escape addiction, the same struggle that once held him captive. That's what happens when Heaven remembers your name. You don't earn your way back. You simply respond to the call that never stopped. The scroll of your destiny is not a contract. It's a covenant, and covenants are eternal. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 16. See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me. Those words mean you are not just remembered, you are inscribed. God doesn't merely recall you, He carries you. Every heartbeat of heaven echoes your name. Even when you feel unseen, you are held in the hands that shape the stars. Sometimes life makes you question that truth. You look around and see others advancing, celebrating, building, while you're still waiting. But remember, their chapter isn't yours. Comparison is the thief of clarity. The moment you take your eyes off your own script, you begin to lose sight of what Heaven is revealing. Your story might not look spectacular yet, but it's sacred. The slow pace is not punishment, it's precision. God is aligning scenes, shaping hearts, softening yours, preparing others to receive what you carry. He doesn't just write stories that end well, He writes stories that transform others through the journey itself. So when you feel unseen, say this in your heart: my name is written. When doubt whispers, say, my story is still being written. When fear tells you you've missed your moment, answer softly, the author hasn't finished the page yet. You are not wandering, you are unfolding. Every step, every prayer, every pause is a line in the masterpiece. And someday, you'll look back and see that the chapters that felt empty were the ones heaven was using to build depth into your story. The scroll of your life isn't gathering dust, it's alive, breathing, glowing with the ink of divine design. And tonight, that story continues. One heartbeat, one word, one act of faith at a time. And when the final page turns, heaven will read your story aloud, not as a tale of perfection, but of perseverance. Every word, every tear, every prayer will echo, "This one fulfilled their divine assignment." The earth responds to your obedience. When a chosen one moves in faith, creation itself listens. The winds, the timing, the unseen alignments, everything begins to shift around a surrendered heart. It may seem invisible to others, but the spiritual world recognizes authority, and authority is birthed through obedience. You have seen glimpses of this before, moments when your small step of faith unlocked something far greater than your own effort. You spoke encouragement to a stranger, and it became their reason to keep living. You prayed for someone in silence, and peace surrounded them unexpectedly. You gave when you didn't have much, and somehow your needs were met in return. That's how obedience works. It ripples through the unseen, bending reality toward divine order. Every act of obedience is like striking a tuning fork in the spirit. Heaven vibrates, and the earth responds in resonance. When you obey, it's not about rule-keeping, it's about alignment. You align your heart with the Creator's rhythm, and creation adjusts its melody to match yours. Sometimes obedience feels small, almost insignificant, but God measures differently. He turns drops into rivers, whispers into waves. The story of your life becomes a map of divine echoes, each yes to heaven, leaving footprints of light across the earth. There was once a farmer named Reuben. He lived in a dry region where rain rarely fell. One morning, he felt God prompting him to plow his field, even though the ground was hard and cracked. The neighbors laughed, saying, "There's no rain coming." Still, he obeyed. 3 days later, dark clouds gathered, and a rare downpour came, filling every furrow he had prepared. His obedience made space for heaven's provision. It might not rain where you are yet, but keep plowing, keep praying, keep believing. Heaven never forgets the field of the faithful. The Word of God declares in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 2, "All these blessings will come and follow you always, if you obey the Lord your God." Notice the phrasing, blessings accompany you. They don't chase you as you run ahead, and they don't wait for you to catch up. They move with you, step for step, in rhythm with your obedience. That's why obedience feels like partnership. God doesn't simply command, He invites. He could act without you, but He chooses to move through you. The earth is waiting for that cooperation, for your words, your hands, your willingness to mirror heaven's will. Every time you choose obedience over convenience, something in the atmosphere changes. You might not see the effect immediately, but spiritual soil always responds to holy footsteps. Even your unseen yes becomes a seed that heaven waters in due time. You've been wondering why certain things felt delayed, why breakthrough seemed close, yet slightly out of reach. Sometimes it's because heaven waits for a single act of obedience, a small, hidden step that unlocks everything else. The moment you move, alignment happens. Think of the ocean. When the moon moves, tides obey. In the same way, when your spirit moves in harmony with God's word, the tides of your life respond. That's not coincidence. It's divine order. You may not realize it, but your obedience carries generational weight. Your decisions today become the soil from which others will harvest tomorrow. The prayer you whisper today might be the reason someone else stands strong years from now. Obedience is the language of power. The more you speak it, the more the world listens. Every time you act on what heaven has spoken, you give creation permission to flourish again. So tonight, let the earth feel your faith. Stand, speak, and act with quiet conviction. Your obedience is rewriting realities, softening hearts, healing atmospheres. Heaven moves when you move, and when this truth settles deep within you, type, creation, hechos me, because that declaration is more than words, it is recognition. It means you understand that your obedience causes the unseen to tremble, that your steps awaken dormant promises, and that your voice carries the same resonance as heaven's own. When you move in faith, the very ground beneath you begins to sing, and when you write those words, creation echoes me. You are not boasting. You are bearing witness. You are acknowledging that your obedience is not empty motion, it is sacred partnership. Heaven responds to surrender. Like sound meeting, still water the waves travel farther than you imagine. Your yes becomes a vibration of faith that touches places you'll never see. So each time you obey, remember this truth. The earth is not passive. It listens. It shifts. It blooms. And somewhere in the unseen, creation whispers back to you, "We heard your faith." As the mantle descends quietly, not with thunder, but with stillness. You may not even notice it at first. That holy weight resting on your shoulders, invisible yet undeniable. It is not a cloak of pride or status, it is a covering of purpose. The mantle is heaven's way of saying, "Now it's your turn." When God places a mantle upon someone, He doesn't choose based on perfection. He looks for hearts that have been softened by surrender. He looks for hands that still tremble, but are willing to lift anyway. The mantle is never earned. It is entrusted. And tonight, heaven places it gently on you. There is always a sacred exchange before the mantle falls, a moment of release. You must let go of what once defined you so that divine purpose can take shape. Every yes you whispered in private has led to this. The mantle carries both power and responsibility, light and weight. It will make you stronger, but also more compassionate. It will teach you that authority is not about ruling, it's about serving from a place of love. Let me tell you about a woman named Lyra. She worked as a nurse for years, unseen and uncelebrated. One night, as she comforted a dying patient, she felt something shift, a strange peace surrounding her. Later that week, a pastor she barely knew approached her and said, "God has placed a healer's mantle on you." She didn't understand then, but she noticed that afterward, every word she spoke over the sick seemed to carry peace. Every prayer carried power. Lyra realized that the mantle didn't make her different. It revealed who she already was. That's what mantles do. They uncover what heaven already placed within you. You've been walking in fragments of your calling, but now God is stitching them together into fullness. The mantle descending tonight isn't about elevation, it's about revelation. It's God showing you the version of yourself He's seen all along. The apostle reminds us in the second book of Kings, chapter 2, verse 13. Elisha picked up the cloak that had fallen from Elijah. He returned and stood by the Jordan's bank. That simple act of picking up the fallen cloak marked the beginning of a new era. It wasn't the cloak that carried power, it was the obedience. Elisha's hands carried faith, not fabric. And just like him, you too are standing at your Jordan moment, where your next step in faith unlocks a flood of divine flow. But here's the beauty. Mantles don't make you heavy, they make you holy. They don't demand applause, they call for humility. They teach you to serve more deeply, to speak more softly, to see more clearly. You become the vessel through which heaven pours itself into the world. And when you feel that weight of purpose settling over you, don't resist it. Let it wrap around you like a sunrise shawl, warm, radiant, quietly transforming everything it touches. If this word resonates in your heart, if it feels like heaven is placing something on your shoulders right now, know that you're not alone in this. There are countless others around the world who are stepping into their mantles at this very hour. Together, you are forming a tapestry of light threads of purpose woven across nations. If this message finds you, gently tap like, not as a habit, but as a quiet Amen. It's like lighting a small lamp in the sanctuary of your heart. Share it if you feel that someone else might need to be reminded that heaven hasn't forgotten their calling. When you share, you're not spreading content, you're sowing confirmation. Subscribe if this space feels like home to your spirit. Each message is another piece of divine bread, broken fresh for hungry hearts. Stay close to the flow so that when the next word comes, it finds you ready. And if your heart ever feels moved to give, donate as if you were adding another candle to an altar, not out of duty, but devotion. Each spark adds warmth, helping this light travel farther. Your giving becomes part of the same anointing that flows through these words. But whether you give your treasure, your time, or your prayer, every act of participation matters. The mantle you carry now is not for yourself alone, it's for the healing of others, for the restoration of hope in weary hearts. You are not funding a platform, you are fueling a purpose. You are keeping the flame alive for the next soul who needs to know that their calling still stands. So, as the mantle settles upon you tonight, let gratitude be your response. Whisper your yes again, and let your light, your kindness, your generosity, and your obedience become part of the eternal rhythm of heaven moving through the earth. The angels take position when the divine plan begins to unfold. You may not see them, but you have felt their presence, those moments of sudden peace when panic tried to rise, or the inexplicable strength that carried you through nights you thought you wouldn't survive. Angels are not fantasies or distant myths. They are God's messengers of movement. Wherever purpose begins to bloom, heaven sends its guardians to protect it. Right now, they are around you, silent but vigilant. They stand at the corners of your story, like pillars of light holding the unseen structure of grace. You have never walked alone, not even for a heartbeat. Every time you made it through a danger you couldn't explain. Every time protection found you in impossible places, it was because the unseen hands of heaven intervened. The scriptures speak often of these divine beings. They move not by their own will, but by God's command. They are his extensions, strength without pride, power without corruption. And when heaven assigns angels to you, it is because what you carry has eternal weight. You are a vessel of promise, and heaven guards its investment. There was once a young traveler named Jonas. He had driven for hours through a storm, lost in fog so thick he could barely see the road. At one point, his car began to slide toward the edge of a steep hill. Just before impact, another vehicle's headlights appeared behind him, guiding him back onto the road. When he pulled over to thank the driver, there was no one there, just empty road and the sound of soft rain. Years later, Jonas would say, "That was the night I stopped believing in coincidences." Ofsem, you have stories like that too, perhaps less dramatic, but equally divine. The last-minute opportunity that saved your future, the delay that kept you from danger, the stranger who spoke the exact words you needed to hear. Angels work quietly because glory belongs to God alone, but their fingerprints are all over your timeline. The writings of David in the book of Psalms, chapter 91, verse 11, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." Those words are not poetic imagination. They are covenant promise. All your ways means not only the holy paths, but also the messy detours. Even when your choices led you into shadows, heaven never cancelled the assignment. Your angels didn't retreat when you fell. They waited for your return, clearing the way for redemption. Some people imagine angels as distant beings hovering in bright skies, but often they stand in ordinary places near hospital beds, beside lonely windows, in quiet workplaces, beside those who feel forgotten. They are stationed wherever faith flickers, wherever destiny stirs. And when they move, the atmosphere shifts. You may feel a warmth on your skin, a heaviness lift from your chest, or a sudden calm in your mind. Those are the subtle signs of divine company. Yet angels are not only protectors, they are carriers. They transport prayers, deliver answers, and carry strength from one realm to another. Sometimes the answer to your prayer is not delayed, it is in transit. Heaven's couriers are moving, even when you see no evidence. Think of Daniel in the lion's den. The answer to his prayer was sent the moment he spoke. Yet warfare in the unseen delayed its arrival. The same principle applies to you. Just because you can't see movement doesn't mean heaven is idle. The angels have taken position, holding back what was meant to harm you and making way for what was promised to bless you. There are angels that guard your sleep, others that walk ahead into your tomorrows. Some are assigned to your calling, ensuring that what you carry reaches the people it was meant for. And there are those who stand silently behind you when you speak, strengthening your words so that they pierce hearts instead of fading into noise. You may wonder why this matters, why knowing about angels changes anything. It matters because awareness builds gratitude, and gratitude builds faith. When you recognize divine activity, you stop fearing uncertainty. You begin to see that nothing truly happens to you. Everything happens through you. So, the next time you sense a sudden peace, don't dismiss it. The next time you feel strength rising from nowhere, whisper a quiet, "Thank you." For while the world may call it luck or coincidence, heaven calls it presence. And remember, Angels are not drawn to noise. They respond to faith. They stand closest when your heart is still, when your prayer turns from words into surrender. In those moments, the entire invisible realm aligns around your obedience, waiting for God's command to release what's next. You are surrounded, protected, and upheld. The same light that guarded prophets and shepherds now hovers around you. Even in your silence, heaven is active. Even in your waiting, armies of light are preparing the way. The midnight hour is not just a time, it is a threshold. It's the meeting point between ending and beginning, where one chapter exhales its last breath, and another inhales new life. This is the hour when heaven leans closest, when prayers whispered in faith echo louder than the noise of the world. The midnight hour is not your darkness, it's your doorway. Many fear midnight because it feels lonely. But to the chosen, midnight is sacred. It's when distractions fall silent, when the earth stills long enough for heaven to speak clearly. The stars, hidden by day, shine brightest. Then, in the same way, your calling gleams clearest in the dark, not because light has left you, but because now it belongs to you. You've had nights when you stared at the ceiling, wide awake, questioning, God, when will it happen? But those weren't wasted hours, they were invitations. Midnight is when destiny knocks softly, waiting for your yes. Heaven doesn't sleep, it synchronizes. There was a young man named Noah who often prayed late into the night. For months, he felt nothing, no voice, no vision, only silence. One night, just before giving up, he felt a deep pull to kneel again. As he began to pray, the room grew warm, almost glowing. He didn't hear words, but something changed. He stood afterward, not with answers, but with peace. Weeks later, the breakthrough he had longed for came suddenly. Looking back, Noah realized that the miracle didn't begin when the door opened. It began at midnight when he said, "I trust you," in the silence. That is how the midnight hour works. It prepares you before it rewards you. It teaches you to recognize presence without proof, to worship without evidence, to believe without sight. It is written in the book of Acts, chapter 16, verse 25. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them. Do you see the mystery there? They didn't wait for morning to worship. They turned their prison into a sanctuary, and that's when the earthquake came. Heaven moved, not because they were loud, but because they were aligned. Their praise became the key that unlocked not just their chains, but everyone else's around them. So tonight, as you stand in your own kind of midnight, whether it's uncertainty, transition, or quiet waiting, remember this: God does his finest work when the world is asleep. Midnight is when Joseph's chains loosened in the dungeon of Egypt. Midnight is when Ruth decided to follow purpose instead of comfort. Midnight is when Jesus turned Gethsemane's sorrow into surrender. Midnight is not a delay, it is the hour of divine activation. You may not feel ready. You may not see the shift yet, but heaven is already moving. The angelic assignments have begun. The spiritual clock has struck, and the new day has quietly started ticking. The darkness around you is not proof of absence, it's the canvas for manifestation. Just as seeds are buried before they bloom, so are promises planted before they appear. Midnight is that in-between, buried but not forgotten, hidden but destined to rise. Tonight, the Spirit whispers, "This is the hour, not tomorrow, not next season now." Every prayer you thought was unheard has been gathered like incense. Every tear has watered unseen soil. Midnight is the divine transition point where waiting turns into wonder. So, as the world sleeps, stay awake in faith, not with worry, but with expectancy. The silence you hear is not emptiness, it's heaven holding its breath before release. If this word stirs your heart, pause for a moment. Feel the air around you shift. Something unseen has begun to move. And when you sense that holy stirring, mark the moment with faith. Comment 777. Because 777 represent divine completion. Holy alignment. The perfect rhythm of heaven's design. It's your way of saying, I trust the timing. I accept the turning. I'm ready for what's next. Oh, you are standing at the edge of fulfillment. What began in tears will end in triumph. Midnight is not meant to frighten you, it's meant to frame you. The darkness is simply God turning off the lights for transformation. So breathe deeply. Chosen one. The old is passing away. The new is already here. Heaven is counting down, not to your ending, but to your unveiling. This is your midnight hour, and it belongs to glory. And when morning comes, the world will see what heaven already knew, that midnight didn't break you. It birthed you. You rose not by strength, but by divine timing. When glory touches your life, signs begin to follow. They are not magic, nor coincidence. They are confirmations. Heaven always leaves fingerprints where it has passed. These signs are reminders that what once seemed impossible is now alive within reach. Signs don't exist to impress, they exist to instruct. They remind you that faith is not fantasy and that your steps are not unseen. Every chosen one walks through seasons where signs begin to appear, whispers of encouragement disguised as ordinary moments. You might wake up with a renewed sense of peace after a long storm and wonder, why do I feel lighter today? That, too, is a sign. You might encounter a person whose words echo a prayer you never voiced aloud. That's heaven's response, traveling through another vessel. God's language often sounds like timing, and his handwriting often looks like alignment. Sometimes the signs are gentle, a door opening that no logic could explain, a dream that repeats until you finally pay attention, or a scripture that appears everywhere you turn. Other times, they come as disruptions, endings, delays, or sudden redirections. These are not punishments, they are divine punctuation marks, reminding you to pause, breathe, and listen. There was once a woman named Tessa who kept seeing the number 3 everywhere on clocks, receipts, even street signs. It made no sense to her. Eventually, one night, she opened her Bible and her eyes fell upon the Gospel of John, chapter 3, verse 8. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. She realized the sign wasn't random, it was revelation. God was teaching her that his movement in her life was not meant to be predictable. The signs were not there to be controlled, they were there to be trusted. When you live in alignment with heaven, signs become the gentle language of reassurance. They are how God whispers, I'm still here. When you see them, Don't idolize them, interpret them. Every sign points not to itself, but to the sender. In the desert, God sent a pillar of fire and a cloud to lead his people. In your life, he might send a word, a person, or a shift in atmosphere. The purpose is the same: to guide you through uncertainty until faith feels like instinct. You may have noticed lately that strange coincidences seem to follow you. You think of someone and they call. You face a closed door and another opens instantly. These aren't random. They are ripples from the supernatural into the natural, evidence that heaven's hand is weaving through your days. But not every silence means absence, and not every delay means denial. Some signs appear only when you stop looking frantically for them. The quieter your soul becomes, the clearer heaven's language sounds. Think of Elijah. He looked for God in the wind, in the earthquake, in the fire. But God came in the whisper. The whisper is not proof of God's smallness, but of his nearness. Signs work the same way. They meet you where your attention finally slows enough to notice. These divine signs don't always come to confirm your comfort. Sometimes they come to call you higher, to stretch you into obedience. You might sense a sudden prompting to forgive someone you'd rather forget, or to step into something unfamiliar. That's a sign of growth. Heaven never challenges without preparing grace to sustain it. When you walk with awareness, life itself becomes prophetic. The sunrise becomes a reminder of mercy. The rain becomes a metaphor for renewal. Even the waiting becomes worship when you realize God is speaking in the spaces between events. Signs will follow those who believe, not because they chase them, but because they walk in the direction of purpose. You don't have to search wildly for them. They will recognize your faith and meet you along the road. And when they do, thank God quietly, not because you needed proof, but because you are humbled by his nearness. The chosen don't follow signs, they walk with the one who creates them. So pay attention. The flutter in your spirit, the door that wouldn't close, the peace that arrived unannounced. They're not coincidences. They are divine signatures marking your journey, gentle confirmations that heaven still walks beside you. When heaven writes, it never uses ink that fades. Every sign becomes a sentence, every miracle a reminder that the story is still being written. So keep watching, not with fear, but with wonder, because even the smallest sign is a love letter from eternity, whispering, I'm still guiding you forward. Lo, you will walk in supernatural favor. It will not make sense to those around you how doors open without effort, how opportunities find you instead of you chasing them, how even your missteps seem to turn into miracles. But this is what happens when divine favor begins to flow. It rewrites logic. It breaks man-made timelines. It bends impossibility until it becomes the expected outcome. Favor is not luck, it is recognition. Heaven recognizes what it placed in you and begins to announce it to the earth. When you've endured the fire, survived the refining, and stayed faithful through silence, God begins to reward what no one else saw. Favor becomes the echo of unseen obedience. You may not have realized it, but certain blessings in your life were not coincidence. They were invitations. That unexpected provision, that protection that came just in time, that relationship that showed up at the perfect moment, all of them were signs of divine favor, testing your stewardship. Favor comes not to spoil you, but to strengthen your purpose. Think of Joseph, sold as a slave, imprisoned unjustly, forgotten by men, but remembered by God. When favor finally found him, it didn't simply free him, it elevated him. Favor didn't erase his suffering, it used it. Every wrong turn became the right path once favor stepped in. You, too, are entering that kind of season. The delays have ripened you. The waiting has deepened your roots. Now the same God who watched you sow in tears is calling forth a harvest of favor that will overwhelm you. It is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 5, verse 12. Surely, Lord, you bless the righteous, you surround them with your favor as with a shield. That means favor doesn't just visit, it surrounds. It becomes armor. You'll begin to notice things shift quietly around you. Resistance that once stopped, you will suddenly lose power. Where doors were shut, you'll hear the click of divine unlocking. Where you once struggled to be seen, God Himself will do the announcing. But remember, supernatural favor is never for self-glory. It's a mantle of mercy meant to touch others. When you carry favor, people should feel peace near you, not envy. They should encounter grace, not arrogance. Favor that doesn't flow outward turns stagnant. Favor that serves becomes a river. There was once a single mother named Clara. She struggled for years to provide for her children, often praying at midnight just for daily bread. One day, she helped an elderly neighbor with groceries. Not knowing he was the owner of several local stores, he later offered her a job, and within a year, promoted her to manager. Clara said, "It felt like God reached into my story and turned the page Himself." That's what favor does. It turns pages faster than you can count them. When favor rests on you, even delays serve destiny. What once embarrassed you will soon be the evidence of divine orchestration. The same people who questioned your journey will see that your endurance wasn't foolishness, it was faith. But be wise, favor attracts both attention and opposition. Not everyone will celebrate your elevation. Some will misunderstand it. Yet favor needs no defense, it speaks for itself. When God endorses you, no human opinion can cancel what heaven has decreed. Supernatural favor doesn't mean life becomes effortless. It means grace begins to accompany your effort. It multiplies what you place in God's hands. You plant seeds, and suddenly fields respond faster. You speak truth, and hearts open wider. You show up in faith, and outcomes tilt in your favor. The greatest sign of divine favor is not wealth or applause, it's peace. Peace that follows you into places that once terrified you. Peace that silences storms before they even form. That's the kind of favor being written into your name right now. Soon, people will ask, "How did this happen?" And your only answer will be, "I walked where He led." Because that's what favor looks like, invisible steps that leave undeniable results. You don't need to chase it. You only need to walk in alignment. Favor doesn't follow effort, it follows faithfulness. When your heart stays yielded, favor becomes the natural climate of your life. So walk forward gently, knowing heaven has gone ahead of you. Opportunities will appear like dawn after long darkness. Divine connections will arrive like long-awaited letters. And as you move through the days ahead, remember this truth. You are not lucky, you are chosen, covered, and crowned in favor. And wherever you step next, the ground itself will recognize you. For those who walk in divine favor do not chase blessings, they become living evidence of them. Your testimony will shake nations, not because of eloquent words or grand stages, but because it carries truth born in fire. The power of your story is not in what you escaped, but in who walked you through it. Testimonies are not about survival, they are about revelation. When you speak, heaven's fingerprints become visible to the earth. Every chosen one carries a story that was never meant to be hidden. Some testimonies begin in triumph, others begin in tears. Yet all of them serve the same purpose, to remind the world that God still moves. Every scar that once caused you shame is now an altar, glowing quietly with the memory of grace. There was a man named Andre who lost everything: his home, his business, his will to hope. But one night, in a shelter surrounded by strangers, he began to hum a hymn his grandmother once sang. The people around him joined softly. That simple act turned despair into worship. Months later, Andre rebuilt his life, not as a businessman, but as a minister. He often said, "That night, I didn't find a song. The song found me." That is the essence of testimony. It finds you when you think all is lost. It rewrites endings, breathes life into ruins, and makes brokenness beautiful. Your testimony is not just for you, it's for those still in there waiting. When they hear how you endured, they realize they can too. Your survival becomes their prophecy. The Apostle Paul wrote in the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 3, "You are a letter from Christ, written by the Spirit of God, not on stone tablets, but on human hearts." You are that letter. Every word you speak, every act of kindness, every quiet forgiveness becomes a line in that living testimony. People may never read a Bible, but they will read your life. And when they do, may they see redemption in every chapter. Sometimes, testimonies begin in the smallest moments. A whisper of forgiveness, a door left open, a prayer answered differently than expected. They ripple outward, touching hearts you'll never meet. You may never know whose life is restored because you chose to tell your truth, but heaven counts each one. Now, as your story grows wings, remember this: light doesn't force anyone to see, it simply shines. Let your light do the same. Tell your story not to prove, but to illuminate. If this message resonates, touch the like button gently, like lighting a candle in a cathedral. Every small flame adds warmth to a world grown cold. Share this word the way a traveler passes water to another pilgrim on a long road. It may seem small, but it can refresh a soul on the verge of giving up. Subscribe if you feel this stream speaks to your spirit, not as a follower, but as one returning to a familiar river. Each new word is another current of grace flowing your way. And if your heart ever stirs to give, donate as if you were planting a tree along a path you may never walk again. You won't see all the fruit, but others will rest in its shade. Every offering, no matter how quiet, becomes a root of restoration for someone else. But know this clearly: nothing here is demanded of you. Giving, sharing, listening, all of it is sacred only when it's willing. Heaven never coerces generosity, it inspires it. If you choose to give, let it be because your heart feels light when you do. That's what makes it holy. Your testimony itself is a kind of donation, an offering of truth to those still trapped in silence. You are giving hope simply by being honest about how grace found you. And when you tell it, Something shifts in the atmosphere. Shame loses its grip. Faith awakens. The same power that resurrected you begins to ripple outward, reminding the world that resurrection is still possible. So, speak your story. When you feel led, share your scars without fear, because when your voice trembles with sincerity, even heaven leans closer to listen. And if this message touched something deep inside you, let it rest there. Let gratitude rise quietly. Like the first light of dawn, you don't need to shout your faith. It's already speaking through your existence. And if your heart feels moved, leave a few words below, even a whisper of gratitude or a single thank you. And because comments here are not noise, they're echoes. Every small word becomes another thread of light woven through this community of faith. You have become proof that miracles still happen in ordinary rooms, on quiet nights, through weary hearts that refuse to quit. Your testimony is not just survival, it is sacred storytelling, the kind that heals what words alone cannot. And somewhere, even now, another soul will rise because you did. The crown awaits the faithful. It is not made of gold or jewels, but of endurance, integrity, and surrender. The true crown is invisible to the world, yet radiant in eternity. Every act of obedience, every unseen sacrifice, every tear offered in silence has been shaping it piece by piece. Heaven has been crafting it not for those who were perfect, but for those who refused to give up. You have worn many burdens in your life, responsibilities, losses, expectations, and yet, beneath the weight, you kept walking. That persistence is the essence of faithfulness. Faithfulness is not a feeling. It is a decision that stands when emotions collapse. It's choosing trust when results delay, choosing love when it's easier to withdraw. The crown is not a reward for power, it's a recognition of perseverance. You earn it not by conquering mountains, but by climbing them when no one is watching. Every moment you stayed kind, when bitterness seemed easier. Every time you forgave in silence. Every prayer whispered through exhaustion, heaven saw it all. Nothing done in love has gone unnoticed. There was a woman named Rena who worked quietly as a caretaker in a small nursing home. For years, she cleaned, cooked, and comforted others without applause. One day, as a patient passed away, Rena wept, not from sadness alone, but from the beauty of witnessing someone's final peace. That night, she dreamed of standing in a field of light, a soft crown resting upon her head. A voice said, "You thought your days were small, but you were building eternity." She woke in tears, realizing that faithfulness had always been her ministry. The scriptures remind us in the book of 1 Peter, chapter 5, verse 4, when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that never fades away. That crown is not fashioned from earthly beauty. It is forged from the fabric of devotion. It is not granted at random. It is revealed when endurance finishes its work. You may have faltered, doubted, cried, even wanted to walk away, but you didn't. And that's what heaven honors. God does not crown success. He crowns surrender. The faithful often live unseen. They pray behind closed doors, serve in silence, give when no one thanks them. Yet, in the unseen chambers of eternity, their names are engraved in light. The world may never celebrate them, but heaven stands in applause. The crown of glory is not a distant promise reserved only for heaven. Its presence begins here. In moments when peace floods your heart after obedience, when strength returns after weakness, when joy finds you in sorrow. The crown is a living reward, the mark of one who has been tested and found steadfast. Being faithful doesn't mean never breaking down. It means letting God rebuild you every time you do. It means saying, "He still trusts you," even with trembling lips. Faithfulness is not built in celebrations, but in the quiet corners of daily endurance. You may wonder if your small acts matter, the prayers that seem unanswered, the kindness unnoticed, the patience unappreciated. But in heaven's economy, nothing is wasted. Each act is a stone in the foundation of your eternal crown. When you loved anyway, you built it. When you stayed instead of fleeing, you strengthened it. When you forgave the unforgivable, you polished it. Sometimes you feel the weight of weariness and think you've lost your glow. But God whispers, "I'm still fitting your crown." He doesn't rush the process. Every trial adds shape. Every victory adds shine. When you reach the end of your race, you'll discover that the crown was never really about recognition. It was about reflection, your life mirroring the faithfulness of the one who called you. You will see that every yes in the dark was a gem set in eternity. And even now, though unseen, that crown glimmers each time you choose righteousness over revenge, compassion over pride, grace over fear. The faithful carry their crowns long before they see them. The world may see ordinary faces, but heaven sees royalty being refined. So, keep walking with quiet confidence. Every trial you endure is proof that the kingdom within you cannot be shaken. Your crown is not coming, it's already forming. And when you finally see it, you'll recognize each part, the piece shaped by tears, the one forged by faith, the one engraved by love. Heaven keeps its promises. The faithful never labor in vain. And soon, the weight of suffering will give way to the weight of glory, a crown not of gold, but of endurance, shining like the morning star. The final hour of revelation is not the end, it is the unveiling. When everything seems to quiet, when the pace of your life slows and silence wraps around your thoughts, that is not emptiness. It is the sacred stillness before fulfillment. Heaven often speaks in the pauses between miracles. You've walked through the storm, the refining, the isolation, the awakening. Each chapter has been a preparation for this one, the chapter where understanding begins to bloom. For years, you may have wondered, why so much breaking? Why such delay? But now the pieces start to align. You see that every shattered moment was making space for clarity. What once confused you now begins to make sense in the language of grace. The journey of the chosen is never linear. It spirals upward, from pain to peace, from surrender to strength, from shadow to shining. God doesn't move you in straight lines. He moves you in layers. Each season reveals another facet of your purpose, until your reflection starts to resemble His. There's a moment in every chosen life when you realize you were never walking alone. The storms that seemed like punishment were actually lessons in navigation. The silence that felt like abandonment was actually the classroom of discernment. You've grown into someone your past wouldn't even recognize, stronger, gentler, wiser. The prophet's words echo this truth in the book of Isaiah. Chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. That verse is not a distant command. It is a declaration. It is the divine signal that your preparation has matured into manifestation. Your light has come means the waiting season has accomplished its purpose. You are ready to carry what once would have crushed you. There was once a quiet artist named Leora who painted visions she saw in prayer. For years, no one noticed her work. She painted in silence, feeling unseen but somehow sustained. One day, she felt prompted to display her art in a small corner cafe. Within a month, people began to weep as they looked at her paintings. Sensing peace they couldn't explain, Leora realized her art had never been about recognition, it was about release. God waited until her heart could carry influence without losing humility. That's when he revealed her to the world. You, too, are stepping into that unveiling. What was hidden will now speak. The dreams you buried because you thought their time had passed are being resurrected. The words you almost stopped believing in are about to come alive. Heaven delays not to deny, but to prepare the vessel for the weight of what's coming. Glory never arrives empty. It always carries responsibility. The new season you're entering will not be without challenges. But now you carry a strength that no storm can erode. You are no longer moved by noise or shaken by shadows. You've become anchored in purpose. This is the turning point, not from weakness to power, but from waiting to walking. Your spirit is no longer in training, it is in transition. The atmosphere around you will begin to reflect what's happening within you. Divine order, returning. Peace, becoming. Your natural language. You will notice that grace begins to move faster now. What once took years will begin to unfold in days. What you had to fight for before will begin to flow easily. That's not coincidence, it's divine rhythm. Heaven is aligning you with acceleration, not because you've rushed, but because you've remained faithful. Don't be surprised when people say, "You've changed." You have. You've traded anxiety for authority, fear for faith, exhaustion for endurance. This new version of you no longer seeks validation. It carries revelation. The light that rises within you is not fragile, it is eternal. As you move forward, remember what you've learned. Peace is your compass. Obedience is your power. Faith is your foundation. And most of all, presence is your promise. God doesn't just walk ahead of you, He walks within you. The same voice that called you out of confusion now calls you into clarity. The story is not ending, it's ascending. The season of hiddenness is closing, and the season of manifestation begins. You will no longer explain your worth. Your fruit will speak for itself. You are not striving for favor anymore. You are living from it. And as heaven watches, the circle completes itself. Promise fulfilled. Purpose revealed. Destiny alive. The same hands that carried you through the valley now crown you with peace. The same light that once led you from afar now shines from within. This is not a goodbye to your wilderness. It is a welcome to your inheritance. You have crossed over. You have become the living proof that grace doesn't just restore, it transforms. And now, the journey rests in your hands. Everything spoken, everything revealed, has been leading to this moment. Not an ending, but a release. You've walked through valleys, felt the fire, carried the weight, and now you stand as one refined, radiant, and ready. Heaven has spoken through every word, and what began as a message has become a mirror, showing you who you've always been, chosen, covered, and called. If this word found you, gently press like, not as an act of habit, but as a silent flame of agreement. Every click becomes a small light flickering across the darkness, reminding others that faith still burns in quiet hearts. Share this message the way one passes a torch in the night, softly, sincerely, with hope that its light will reach someone still wandering. You never know whose despair will turn to destiny because of a simple act of sharing. Subscribe if these words have become a home for your spirit. Think of it not as joining a channel, but as taking your place at the table of a growing family, one where stories, purpose, and peace are continually served. And if your heart ever stirs to give, donate as you would pour oil into a lamp, not out of duty, but out of love for the flame that has kept you company. Every drop of kindness helps the light reach farther, illuminating the paths of those who still walk in shadow. Finally, if this journey touched you in a way words cannot describe, leave a comment below, even a single phrase or whisper of gratitude. Each word becomes part of a greater symphony of souls, testifying that transformation is real. This is not farewell, it is continuation. You've stepped into a divine rhythm, and heaven will meet you there again. Until the next word finds you, keep shining, keep listening, and never forget, you are the story God still delights to tell.